song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. King of endless worth, no one could express how much you deserve. Though I'm weak and poor, all I have is yours, every single breath. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart, yeah. And I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. 'Cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. All about you. I'll bring you more than a song. I'll bring you more than a song. More than a song. I'll bring you more than a song. I'll bring you more than a song. You're looking into my heart, looking into my heart. You're looking into my heart, into my heart. I'll bring you more than a song. I'll bring you more than a song. Yeah. I'll bring you more than a song. I'll bring you more than a song. step down into darkness, open my eyes, let me see beauty that made this heart adore you, hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, oh so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. And here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it cost
Check.
to see.
Good morning, everybody.
my sin
Thank you all for coming to Sabbath school this morning. We are glad that you're here, and this is going to be a very wonderful event. I'm very happy to be here. You know, it's been a long journey here, so I'm glad that you guys are all here as well. We all get to celebrate together today and the rest of this weekend. So just wanted to extend a warm welcome to you all, and thank you for being here.
Happy Sabbath, church family. We're going to be doing prayer, and I will start off praying in English, so please bow your heads with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day, this wonderful weekend that you've blessed us with such amazing weather. I ask that you please be with all the students that are going to participate in Sabbath school today and give them your words and help them be influential to this crowd. Please be with us this rest of this weekend and help us remind us what we're grateful for. In Jesus' name, amen.
Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, gracias por todo lo que nos has dado, porque nos diste un día más de vida y nos has cuidado. Bendice los programas de hoy y trae a todos con bien a la iglesia. En el nombre de Jesús, amén.
Amen.
So this morning's scripture is found in Matthew 5:14 and 16. And it reads, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden." And 16 reads, "In the same way, let your good deeds shine out to all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father."
Hello, everybody. I'll be reading the same verse, but in French. Vous êtes la lumière du monde. Une ville située sur une montagne un peu être cachés. Que votre lumière lie ainsi devant les hommes, afin qu'ils glorifient votre Père qui est dans la ciel.
Hello, my name is Marina, and I'll be reading the verse in Portuguese. Vocês são a luz do mundo. Não se pode esconder uma cidade construída sobre o monte. Assim brilha a luz de vocês diante dos homens, para que vejam as suas boas obras e glorificam ao Pai, e vocês que está no céu.
For those of you who heard me, happy Sabbath. We're so happy and honored that you got up early this morning and made it to church. And I really thank our students, too, who have been so tired this week from finals and studying and writing those last-minute papers. I know they're pretty tired, but I'm very happy that they're here this morning. My name is Damaris Perez, and I'm a professor in our social work and psychology department. And I'm also the chair of the psychology and social work department. And I'm also class sponsor, and it's really been a true honor and privilege to work with these students. I have to say, you should be very, very proud of your student. They have worked very hard. They've worked all year to make these programs come together, and they've just done such a wonderful time on top of all of their other responsibilities. So can we just give them a round of applause for doing this and making a great program? So, as a class, senior class officers, as we were meeting each week, we were trying to decide what can we do for Sabbath school. We wanted to do something different, something that, maybe wasn't necessarily our Sabbath school lesson, but we wanted to do something to show you kind of what their experiences have been here at PUC. We come from different paths, we come from different backgrounds, but we've all come together for one main goal. And that's to further our education, but really to also grow closer to God through our education. So this morning, we're going to talk about a little bit about our experiences here and what has PUC done for us and what have we done for PUC and what's really the mark that we've left here. So this morning, I'll have each one of the panelists introduce themselves and tell us what their major is. So we'll start off with Dylan.
So, hi everybody, I'm Dylan. My major is marketing communication, and yeah, I'm graduating, so that's cool.
Yay, Dylan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Micah Hamilton. I am a nursing major who is also graduating.
Hello, everyone. I'm Naomi, and my major is social work.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I am a math and engineering major.
Hi, my name is Sarah West. I am graduating with a Bachelor's of Social Work and a Bachelor's of Arts of Spanish Studies.
So very accomplished students. So I want to ask each one of you, what made you decide of all the schools in North America that you could have gone to, or anywhere in the world really, why did you choose Pacific Union College? And we'll start off with Dylan.
So two factors really. First, I went to a public school for high school, and I'd never really experienced anything like an Adventist education. And that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to specifically seek out Adventist education, growing up Adventist, et cetera. But the second reason is really quite a miracle. It had to do with financial aid and all the scholarships and grants I was able to get freshman year. I was able to come out with no loans for my freshman year, which was a major, major blessing. One of my church members told me, if it's God's will, it's God's bill. And that's really the reason I'm here.
I like that. I've never heard that. If it's God's will, it's God's bill. Not parents' bill, God's bill. All right, parents? So, those student loans are coming. All right, Micah, why did you choose PUC?
Well, I think Adventist education was always like the must, so that really eliminated most of the colleges. But after that, it was really legacy. My parents came to this school, and one of my grandparents did also, and further down the line. So continuing legacy was kind of important to me.
Very cool. So you said your grandparents also attended?
One of them did.
One of
Attended,
them?
yes.
Wow, very nice. All right, Naomi.
All right, so for me, my parents have always valued Adventist education too. So ever since school started, I've always gone to like Adventist high school, middle school, and all of that. And so it made sense to go to college too. And so since PUC was a lot closer to my home, and some of the representatives had come to my high school to try to advertise, that was another reason too. And it looked like a really pretty campus when I came and visited. So it made sense to come here, and so I've enjoyed it.
All right, so it sounds like our marketing team did a good job with Naomi and proximity, right? That was another factor. Great, Samantha.
So I actually went to Monterey Bay Academy with Naomi. We've been going to school with each other for 8 years now. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a long time. But the transition from Monterey Bay Academy to PUC was so easy. I just feel like it really set me up to come here. And then also what Dylan was saying with the financial aid truly like has been a huge blessing for my college experience too.
And Sarah.
So like Dylan, I went to public high school, and I grew up as Seventh-day Adventist, and I always participated in church. And so I kind of only applied to SDA on West Coast, so like Walla Walla, La Sierra, PUC, and I never toured any campuses. And so my mom actually graduated from PUC, and so it was just like, in my heart, it told me to do it, and so here I am.
Great, wonderful. Now that you've gone through school, 4+ years perhaps for some of us, what's one thing for those that have to come back next year or maybe are new next year, what is some advice that you would give them as they are starting maybe their experience at PUC or continuing their experience here at PUC? And whoever wants to open up, we'll go for that.
I can start. So one thing I would suggest is finding like a good group of friends that you can turn to, like whether or not they're in your grade, I don't think it matters, but just having people that you can hang out with all the time and study together, hang out. Those are all really important. And then the second piece of advice, I think, would be making sure that you take enough classes per quarter so you don't have to do summer school because it could be a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, so just making sure you have everything squared away is really important so it's not stressful later on. Yeah.
So making good connections, making good friends, and then keeping on track. So keeping up those grades so you don't have to take extra classes this summer. Great.
So I actually went abroad for a year with the ACA program, and I cannot recommend it enough. Do it while you can. I know my parents always encouraged me, which was a big support for me. But I went to Argentina for a year, and so I cannot recommend it highly enough. There will never be another time in your life where you can take out weeks, months, maybe even a year to be in a different country, to learn a new language, to experience a new culture. And it really does help you make connections. And even when you're out in what I call the real world, once you graduate, you can always call on that knowledge and that history that you have.
That's actually a big regret I have. I attended PUC 20 years ago, and I wish that I would have taken a year off to go abroad. But I was in a rush. I want to get done in 4 years, and I want to become an adult. I don't know why I was trying to rush. To all you students, don't try to rush to get to adulthood. Take the time. It's such a wonderful experience. Or I wish I would have gone off as a missionary. I got to do short-term mission trips, but taking that time off to really explore what the world has, right? So glad you did that.
I was going to piggyback off that first point of making friends. I think it's really good to make as many friends as you can, but specifically with your professors and the dean and stuff too. I don't know. Getting on their good side is always favorable for you.
As a professor, I can vouch for that. I think being a professor is not just teaching you all, but it's really making those connections and relationships with you all. And you're right, not getting on our good side, but getting to know us, because that's why we've chosen PUC. That's why I chose PUCs, because I liked having that relationship, right? I don't have hundreds of students. I have a nice group that I can really get to know and build that connection. So I think that's really great advice. Other advice?
I would say that it is so important, and I can't emphasize this enough, to be able to interact with other people and to get a good group of friends. But it's also important to make sure that you set time aside just for yourself, because not only to relax and everything, but get to know yourself, because your best friendships are going to be formed when you are solid in who you are. And it's just an important thing, I feel like, that I've learned about myself over the last 4 years, and I would try to recommend that to someone else too.
Great, so building those connections. Dylan?
I'd say probably slow down. Life moves really, really fast. And it doesn't seem like it, but like we've been here for 4 or 5 years already, and it's like done, right? I remember showing up freshman year and, you know, moving into the dorm for the first time and everything like that. And it's just like, seems like it was yesterday. So my advice would be slow down, appreciate what you have in the moment.
I really like that, slowing down, taking your time, right? It's like that saying, smell the roses. And I really like that, Dylan, that you should take your time and build those connections and build those friendships, because those are friendships that are going to last a lifetime, right? This is where I found my best friends. This is the people that I still talk to here at PUC, the alumni here. Those are the relationships I still have to this day, and they're one of the best, probably the best thing I took away too from PUC, so that's really great. Kind of going along that, tell us or talk to us a little bit about what have been the successes you've had here at PUC. What would you say, maybe 1 or 2 successes that you're going to take away, other than taking your degree? Because that's a huge, huge success, and that's the obvious success, right? But what else did you take away from your experience here?
I found somebody.
Yay! I think that's a lot of goals that parents have here, right? That you find your partner.
I think that's kind of like the underlying goal of many Adventist singles going to an Adventist education, and I was one of the lucky few that actually got it, so.
So can you tell us, how did you meet this person?
I met her in the prerequisites for the nursing program. Took all the classes together.
So
Made sure
some other advice for other students, get to know your classmates. Actually, a theory in psychology is that your partner will be someone that you share proximity with. So a lot of times people you share classes with or you sit close to, it's probably a life partner. So think about that. Sit next to that cute guy or girl. All right, some other successes you've had.
I think for one, just learning how to be more independent and doing things on my own, as well as also balancing that with learning how to ask for help from like teachers or friends or other classmates and stuff like that. I think that's been something that I've learned to do instead of just like, oh, I need to figure it out all on my own. Just learning that I can reach out to people and they're willing to give help and not to be scared to ask.
That's really key, right? Becoming independent, but also learning when to ask for that help. Right? A lot of us think that being independent is I'm going to do it all by myself and I'm going to figure it out. But really it's also knowing I can't do this by myself and I need to find that help. Very good. Some other successes.
At the end of my freshman year, I got invited to go to this program out in New York with Hunter College, and it was called El Centro. It's basically just a Puerto Rican student union kind of thing, and I would define that as a success, partially because A, I was able to go, but B, it was something that my department really supported me on. I had to miss a lot of dead weeks in order to be able to go, and I got the support from my professors in my harder classes so that I would be able to leave for the 5-6 days that it was going to take me. And then because of that, I went at the end of my junior year, going into the senior year, I went abroad for the summer, and I also felt like I had the same kind of support. And so it's just been a huge success for me, at least the relationship I have with my department, and feeling supported in that way.
Yeah, so feeling supported to branch out, right? To be able to see what else is out there. Very nice. Other successes.
I'd say the relationships I've built. For me, like relationships with people is one of my most important things. Friendships, relationships with professors. I've learned so much from just the people that I talk to and been able to teach, life hacks or, life helpful tips or whatever to people. And it's been, just being in a community and being able to share and learn together. I see that as a big success.
So really nurturing those relationships, right? And putting that time and effort that relationships need. Very good. Sarah?
I guess I just I figured myself out more. I feel like when I came to college, I was a very different person than leaving it. And I think going abroad helped with that, but I think also having a little bit of independence, because I'm from SoCal, so 8 hours is a long way to go, but it's also I kind of stayed on campus and was able to learn about myself and my independence and what works for me and what doesn't. And so, yeah, I think I am my own success.
Very good, right? And I think that's another underlying goal, is that you do become that person that you want to be, and to keep evolving and learn that we keep growing, right? And like Professor Ashrey said last night at Vespers, that you go, right? You keep reaching and you don't stop. Now, of course, with successes come, what comes with success?
Challenge.
Class? Challenges, very good. Of course, no success comes without hard work, right? Or with challenges or obstacles in life. So, share with us maybe some challenges that you feel comfortable, of course, sharing, because we have some parents here. But what were those challenges, and how did you overcome those challenges?
I think for me, I came to PUC like many wide-eyed, bushy-tailed freshmen as bio pre-med because I knew I wanted to help people, and I was like, oh, being a doctor is the easiest way to do that. And then I took biology and chemistry at the same time my first quarter, and I was like, I don't think I want to be doing this for the next 8 years of my life. So I took a quarter of undeclared, and then I realized I wanted to be a social work. So I kind of like knowing what I wanted to do, but not how to actually do that once I go out into the real world.
And then how did you end up kind of coming into social work?
Well, I knew like I'm kind of a talker if you know me. And so I knew that like as a doctor, I wouldn't be able to get that like one-on-one with people. And I was like, psychology has that same issue where there's a lot of years of school. And then I don't know, again, I was like, I think I'll try social work. So I was undeclared for a year. I had Martin as my guidance counselor for that time. And then I was like, yeah, I think social work's for me.
Good. Other challenges, and how did you overcome them?
I think one of the challenges that I found out that I had when I came here was I'm a major introvert, actually, majorly. So coming onto a campus with tons of people, living in the dorm room, Granger, like that's a very social experience. So I think something I had to overcome was finding how much time to take for yourself. I think Samantha mentioned something about that, kind of like knowing how much time to take for yourself, re-energize, recoup. I think that's something that I had to overcome and learn how to do.
And what kind of pushed you to maybe branch out a little bit? Ah, the culprit.
My roommates.
So your roommates helped. In what way?
Kind of dragged me to social events, introduced me to new friends, new people. Yeah, so an unfortunate connection I made that made more connections.
So definitely a success, I would say, right, Dylan?
I count that as a success. I mean,
yeah, you got Micah out of the room.
It was a success, yes.
Awesome. Some other challenges.
I think for one, it's just learning how to manage time and budget time, just because there's always so much to do. So you're always like, oh, like which order should I do this or that? So just learning how to writing everything down that you need to do and just going through it in order instead of stressing about it and doing so many things at once. I think that's something that's helped me to overcome that challenge.
Time management. I think that comes with becoming independent, right? Now I have to take care of myself. I've got to make decisions for myself. I make my schedule and figuring out how do I manage my time effectively and efficiently. So good point, and also sound advice for other students, definitely.
Okay. I'm surprised none of you have mentioned this, but COVID was probably the biggest challenge that any of us faced here. Right beforehand, I actually was kind of going through it, and I was dragging myself to classes, doing like the absolute bare minimum, and then all of us were sent home for what they told us was April 27th. I knew from the beginning we were not coming back April 27th, and so I just had this really negative mindset, but I was still enrolled in school, and you still had to go, and so the biggest challenge I faced was like getting myself to want to do this, because otherwise, like, what am I here for? And I feel like, especially I took 3 quarters away from this campus, and during that time, I was just doing online classes, and I was telling myself, like, why am I doing this? Like, what can I do? And I just feel like I found a new passion just for learning, especially in like my math courses. They're a lot of just logic and education and everything like that. But once I felt like that again, your world mindset just changes drastically. And it was a huge challenge, but I feel like at the end of the day, it was very beneficial.
Who was not affected by COVID, right? We all were affected by this pandemic, and that's a really good point. But I think a lot of us, it was quite the transition, it was quite the change. This is something we had never gone through as a society, as a population, at least in our timeline. But then as a student, having to learn through a way that we hadn't really done, right? So yeah, definitely a huge challenge. But what kind of pushed you to say, I gotta keep going. I've gotta, get up and go to class, and I'm gonna get through this?
It was actually Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death. I ended up doing a lot of research on what her life was like, and it just, so both of us are really short. And I was like, wait a minute. It just felt like you had a lot of empowerment through this woman. And I was just like, I would want something like that. I don't know like in what way yet, but I want to be able to feel that kind of like strength in myself, or confidence in myself. And I knew that in order to get there, I had to like build myself up. And so I started like doing what I felt like was laying the foundation.
Yeah, so finding some inspiration through some key figures. Great. Dylan.
One of the biggest challenges has been figuring out developing my relationship with God. So that's been it's been a toss and turn. I mean, like senior year of high school, I was practically ready to leave Christianity. I was kind of done with everything. And, coming to PUC, something just kept nagging me. Like, just go to PUC, just keep going. And being here and the relationships I've built and the friends that I made and the people who ended up being in the same classes. I had one friend, we were in 4 of the 5 classes fall quarter freshman year. And he really, really helped me kind of develop and understand more about who God is and his personality and his relation and how our relationship works.
Yeah.
But it was a big struggle because it was like rewriting morals, really, because it was whoa, this is different. So it was freshman year was a little rough like that, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah. I think freshman year for a lot of us is a tough year, right? That transitional year. And I think you've hit something that anyone who really walks in Christian faith or has some type of faith struggles with at some point in their walk, is that we're going to become a little weary, and we might become, we might want to stray from our walk with God. But it's so important where we're at, right? Our environment, who do we surround ourselves with? And it seems like that's what really helped you, being in this environment, and God kind of nagging at you, right? Holy Spirit's nagging at you, hey, you got to come back. And I think that's so important. And I think that's one of the real values of our education, right? Is that not just that you're not receiving just an education, but also receiving that spiritual walk that at some point we all need, and we need that support. And kind of going off on that, how have you seen God work in your life throughout your time here at PUC, or how has he guided you during your time here?
I'll go. He's been moving a lot. This year especially. My first couple of years, I was not quite as involved with different spiritual things on campus.
Although you're the extrovert who's bringing Micah out.
I know. Well, spiritual things specifically.
Spiritually, there you go. Good point.
But yeah, my sophomore year, I ended up working and running our Afterglow program, which is then a little after Vespers worship. And that was, just being able to sit there and watch people just sing and spend time to pray and, just try to, connect with God. That was definitely saw him moving there. And then this year, I've had the privilege of being a student chaplain on campus, and I've seen people that I didn't think would ever want to turn to a relationship with God turn and start asking questions. And I've been a part of our Sabbath, our collegiate Sabbath school Saturday mornings, and it is before, COVID especially. But before, we had maybe 8-10 people on average at our Sabbath school. And this year we've had, 25. So it's been, there's been a major movement to just grow, and God's really moving people. And it's 25 people who are actively engaging and talking and discussing during the Sabbath school. So it's not just they're just sitting there. Everybody's involved, and they're, curious, and they're thinking things through. So it's really, it's a real thing, So that's probably the biggest one.
So not only were you feeding people, right, materially, but spiritually as well, right, through Afterglow, because Afterglow you have snacks and you have refreshments, right? But then you also were part of the Collegiate Sabbath School where you were able to feed spiritually. And you've noticed that there's a hunger on campus for spirituality and finding our path with God. That's really great. All right, who else? How has God worked in your life?
Kind of like Dylan, I was very active, mostly in the beginning of the year of my career up here at PUC. But I would run tech, so my emphasis would be in the visuals, so like in the lyrics and stuff like that. And I did it a lot for the 12. For those who don't know, it was a student-ran Sabbath school. We coordinated, we invited the speakers, we did the greeters. It was all student-led. And so I did that for 3 years in total. And so it was the most stressful time, but every time God worked in his mysterious ways, and lyrics worked out, visuals worked out, tech worked out. And so that was the time I always felt closest to God.
So working, right? Working for our church. And I think it's great that so far you've all have shared a different way to serve God, right? I think a lot of times we think by serving God, we have to be giving maybe a Bible study or we have to be up here preaching, but we can serve God in many, many different ways, right? Like it takes a village for church to go on. It takes a lot of people to have spiritual connections on campus. So let's hear, how else have you seen God work with you?
For one, for me, I think it's just in everyday life, just when I encounter stresses and stuff in my life where I'm like, oh, like, this is really hard. Like, I may not have done as well on something that I wanted to. And then, just talking to God and him knowing my heart that I'm worried about this and stressed and him just getting me through it. And I'm able to see the bigger picture of my goals and what I want to do and doing better on something else. And I'm like, oh, it's good that I didn't, give up or whatever it might be. And I just kept pushing through. And then God gave me the strength to keep going and doing what I needed to.
Just that everyday walk with him, right? Good. How else?
So my sophomore year, I was an RA in Winning, and we used to do weekly hall worships. And each of the floors are supposed to do hall worships, but the other floors kind of stopped actually doing theirs. And so what would happen was my partner and I had pretty good sized worships, but our worships would not be really Bible studies or really like singing. It really would just be all of us are going to sit down and just talk about different religious aspects, like different things, like what do you believe and how can we help you better define what you believe in? Because you're going to get the religion through your religion courses that you have to take. I'm not qualified to tell you about that. But through us, I feel like we gave a little environment where people were able to sort of challenge themselves. And then I had 2 residents who would show pretty frequently, and they became RAs this year, and their hall worships were structured so similarly to the ones that we ran, and they also had the strongest attendance, and weekly people would come and do everything. So it's just been really nice to just watch sort of something that my RA partner Gloria and I were proud of and watch it keep going with the influence from people who had attended the first time.
Yeah, you were able to influence and inspire growth in someone. That's really great. Micah?
I would say in order to kind of see how God guides you, you kind of have to be in constant communication with him. So I think the first step is kind of prayer. But then after that, it's kind of up to him. For me, I think it was a lot of maybe new opportunities that he placed in my everyday life or new friends he placed in my everyday life, I think those are mainly the biggest things that kind of change. You take something new from every person you meet, and I think that kind of helps form you in your journey.
Great. In growth, we have to reflect a lot on where we've come from, where we're going. As you look back at your time here at PUC, what's something that, looking back, you would want to change, maybe on campus, maybe in your own personal life, in education? What would be something that you, looking back, would change?
I think that it's hard because this is like, it was part of the journey. So like, I don't know if you could actually change this earlier on because it was all part of the experience, but like learning to be content. I wish that I had, didn't have to wait until senior year to actually understand what that meant and how that felt, right? If I could understand that, my freshman year and be content with everything that happened, still strive and still pursue what you want and what you need and what God is calling you to, but be content with the things, the relationships, the journeys that you encounter.
So kind of being okay with things. Maybe things didn't go as I planned or perhaps how I wanted it to go, but sometimes maybe that's what it needs to be, right? And that's where we can grow. Great.
Because it develops you. You know, you build out of those experiences.
Right.
So it's hard to just move that back in the timeline.
Yeah, we can't change it, right? We can't change our past anymore, but we can learn from that and move forward. Great.
I really like that answer. I'm just going to say that.
That's a very good answer.
I think that grades aren't everything. I'm a very type A person, and so it
No, I don't believe it. If you know Sarah West, you know she is type A.
And so it literally took a pandemic to tell me that B's are fine in a college class, because once you leave, your GPA isn't the end-all, be-all. Yeah, it's good to shoot for an A, but again, being content with a B and being like, it's fine, it's okay, people aren't really gonna care after this.
Yeah, very much like Dylan is saying, right? Being okay sometimes with, this doesn't define who I am, a grade, right? That doesn't define who you are, but really being okay that, hey, challenges happened and I made it through. Oh. Mm-hmm.
For me, kind of similar to what Sarah was saying, just not being so hard on yourself for not, getting perfection, because no one can be perfect all the time. Like, obviously, there'll be moments where you do really well on something, but there's going to be times also where it's going to be more of a struggle. So just giving yourself that time to relax and not be like, oh, I have to study constantly when I'm not in class, or I have to be working all the time. So just taking that step back and relaxing, I think that's something that can be really helpful, and it's something I wish I did more throughout my time.
Finding that right balance, because some of us have too much fun and are too social and we forget the educational part, and then some of us want to study, and we forget the social relationships, right? So finding that right balance, and that can be hard, right? I remember my first year, I was like, oh, new people. I'm an extrovert, so I really get energy from people. So I love being in the library, and I would often get shushed because I was talking too much. Before, the library was meant to be quiet. Now you guys can talk and you have rooms and you can, be in groups. But that for me was really hard, where I had to find the balance of, okay, I'm here to learn. I need to do my homework. And I found that, right? And I still work on it, but I've definitely learned a lot from that. Some other things.
I would say, at least for me personally, I wish I had learned how to ask for help earlier on. My sophomore year, again, I was in a really tough situation, and I kind of just dealt with it on my own. And I feel like I would have really benefited from just talking to someone, because looking back, those problems were so easy to solve. And just in my small, single-minded brain, I couldn't do it on my own.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. As a social worker, that touches my heart, because that's something that we constantly try to teach. It's funny, as social workers, we teach people it's okay to ask for help. But as social workers, it's hard for us to ask for help. And we've learned that a lot of us have a really hard time asking for help. And you're right, sometimes it seems like this huge mountain that you have to climb. And maybe it wasn't as big as you thought. And you just needed someone's help to get you across that, right? Good. Anything else? I think you all answered that question, right? So we know that... You did, Micah? No.
I'm hiding.
I was like, wait, did you not? Okay, Micah, now you got to tell us.
I think it's the homework part, too. My freshman year, I was still introverted, studying 24/7, nonstop, trying to get my GPA up, and it's something that I really regret. It's my biggest regret at PUC. So I think finding the balance between fun and studying is a number one goal. Maybe number two. Finding God would be number one. Number two is grades.
There you go. I hear a theme, right? Balance. Finding that balance and finding how to make that balance work for you, and finding the people that can help you bring that balance to your life. Now, this next question might be hard for some of us who work at PUC, but we know that in order for us to continue to provide excellent education, to continue to provide excellent learning environment, spiritual environment, we have to learn from our past too. What is some advice you have for PUC to continue to improve the quality of education that we provide, the environment we provide? what are some of the things that you think that we can improve on or that we continue to work on? Or maybe you have a brand new idea for us that we haven't even thought of. Go easy on us. No, I'm serious, but that's how we're going to grow and improve.
Something that I noticed that some of my classes did, but not all, is praying every day before the class started. I think that's something that really separates us from, especially public universities, because that's like a no-go when it comes to that. But I really appreciated that in some of my classes.
Yeah, so having some prayer time, right, to kind of come together and really center ourselves for what's next. Good. Some other things?
I know for me, it really broke my heart when the 12 was disbanded because it wasn't around this year. And so I kind of lost that drive to go and participate and stuff like that. So I wish we were able to adapt it to be something different than the limitations that we were given and why it was kind of shut down.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the audience who maybe don't know what the 12 is, what the 12 was on campus?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, it was a student-led church service. It would happen over in Daphne Hall, so right off the corner of Winning. And it was pretty much just a Sabbath service. We would, right before, as we called it, the big church, which is now just regular church, we would have our own praise bands. We would have speakers, student speakers. Always right during Dead Week, we would have students come up and talk about experiences, a 15-minute segment, so it wasn't any pressure on anyone. We would have professors come speak. We would have guest speakers, and I was always running around doing tech for that. And so it was just entirely our own. And I know there's other ways that's happened on PUC, I know SA and Afterglow and stuff like that, but it was something really meaningful to have our own church service, because I know we have the collegians, but still having your own tech and lyrics and stuff and being your whole production was really meaningful.
Yeah, so really having something personalized to what you all want. Because I think that's something that I think us older people think, oh, we know what you all want. But sometimes we forget that you all know what's best for you and what you need and what you want, and really listening to that. So I think that's a really great challenge for our school, as to how can we bring that back in some shape, way, or form. And it's also interesting to see that, because it's work, it's student-led, but you wanted to do this, and you made the time to do this. So I think that's a challenge we have, church and school, that we've got to figure something out for our students that's personalized and led by you all. Some other things.
Maybe just having, I know there's already a lot of these, but more opportunities to connect with other students, individual departments and classes and stuff like that, just so you can get to know your classmates more, and you can be encouraged to reach out for them to help, or because you already have that social connection with them. So I think that's something that could be, it's already there, but just, I guess, more emphasized. That would be advice.
Being able to connect with other departments. Because I think we connect a lot as a department, but we kind of become islands sometimes, and we forget that, oh yeah, biology is over there in Clark Hall. And I haven't stepped into Clark Hall in years, right? Even as a professor, I kind of get stuck in my own world. And I think you're right, being able to connect, and that would also help build our relationships across campus.
I think an easier connection between the administration and the students would be nice. A lot of the times, if the students want something, one of the only options we have is to go through Senate. But at PUC, I feel like they preach a lot of the times, one PUC, we're meant to be connected, and going through Senate sometimes deters people because of how formal it can be and how much you have to do just to be able to present an idea. And I do remember one time, my freshman or sophomore year, where the administration was saying, oh, we're gonna be in the cafeteria for 1 hour, if you guys have ideas or if you wanna come and talk, come and join us there. And it was the only time that really happened, and I had a class during then, but I feel like I had things I wanted to say. So if it had been able to be done more frequently or something.
Yeah. So I think maybe something like a town hall once a month or something, or somewhere where administration could connect with you all, or make it easier to communicate between both. Is that what
Yes, a town hall would be so good. But
I'm trying to see if President Trick Carton's here. Did he step out real quick? So, but for administration, I don't know if there's someone tell administration, and I'll also do that. But I think that's a great idea, is really connecting some way. after maybe a town hall. Yeah. You had another point, you said?
I completely forgot it. It's okay.
I'm sorry. It'll come back. We'll give you a minute or two.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this as nice as possible. Breaking down silos. I've worked in a lot of different departments on campus, from alumni to enrollment to the communication department to, working with campus ministries and working with SA and working, just all over the place. And it's very independent. And I don't think we as a PUC community should be like that. And not just the departments or education departments or anything like that. It's working in alumni, you get to see a little bit more of what happens with PUC on the administration side, and building relationships between departments and making that more connected. I think because whether we realize it or not, the people who lead PUC, they leave a certain atmosphere for the students, and the students can only go up to that atmosphere. So if we raise the bar for that atmosphere, we can have so many more students go up higher in their potential and their drive. So it's up to us to whether or not to set the example of what one PUC really looks like.
Another thing a theme that I'm picking up on is you want to feel connected, not just to each other, and not only as departments, but really as a whole with administration and with your professors, and because we're all here, right? We're all on the same campus. A lot of us live in the community, and you want to break down those silos, maybe those things that kind of separate us. And that's a balance that we're trying to figure out too, is how do we stay connected with you all, make the right decisions for you all, and keep our school, going forward. So it's a really good point. I like that.
Yeah, I think the culture and the community at PUC is really its selling point. So I think enhancing that at all cost would be a priority. It should be a priority.
Where do you think community starts? That wasn't on their list of questions. So I'm going to give them a minute to think about that. But I want you to really think about, where does community start for you all?
I'm thinking it could start with even yourself, just being willing and open to making connections with other people. And then when you give off that energy, then you can kind of get it back, from the right people. So just, I guess, improving yourself, and then you're ready to make those connections with other people.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I think maybe just through opportunity. People need to see value in wanting to join a community. It's you have a strong community when people want to join and want to stay, but you have to somehow be able to, you're just saying, enhance it.
So starting with ourselves, and then trying to find connections with other people, right? You found connection by being an RA, and you built that community, and that expanded with the next RAs, right? Where does community start?
I think it definitely starts with people who have similarities that they want to share, but then if Samantha was saying that it's hard to get those official or really out there, then that's kind of where community stops. It stops at word of mouth, where you can't really connect. And I know behind the scenes, pandemic took out a lot of clubs on campus, so I know that has been a huge hindrance. But kind of getting that word out again, that there are people who are part of those communities, are ready and want that place to connect and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's almost like we're rebuilding too, right? We didn't come back from pandemic straight into how things were pre-pandemic. Now we're learning to readapt to how we do things, but also learning that there's some things we can do differently, that it doesn't have to be the same. We can keep improving. All right, where else does community start?
It starts with an idea. It starts with an idea that you want to be connected to something or someone. So, it starts with yourself, but it goes even lower, closer to home than that, because it's something that's even smaller than yourself. it's a seed that grows and eventually becomes what we have here at PUC. This wasn't, we didn't just have a whole bunch of, a couple hundred people come together and be like, we're going to establish college. No, it started as one idea that grew into that. So even you in your daily walk, in your daily life, start with that one idea of, I want to get better, or to grow more, or to learn more, or to connect more. Like, it starts with that.
Yeah, very good. I mean, God is community, right? Like, he wants us to be together. We're striving to go to heaven where we're all going to live together, and we better learn how to do that here, right? And learn to be brothers and sisters. And you're right, it starts with that little seed that grows within us, and we really have to be intentional with that. All right, we're winding down, everyone. And so I'm going to ask you one last question. How do you want PUC to remember you? What is the mark that you left that we will remember you by?
Hopefully they don't.
Say that again?
I said, hopefully they don't.
They don't remember you.
But what I mean by that is that I don't necessarily want to be remembered as a person. I'd rather have my actions and the things that have started here. Things like continuing on programs just like Sabbath School, continuing on a culture of kindness and lovingness and things like that. That I don't care about myself being remembered. I care about that being remembered and that being fulfilled throughout the generations.
That impact, right, through the actions. Good.
Yeah, I would have to say the same thing. I don't really care about if anyone remembers my name 20 years down the road, even next year. I don't really care too much. Even though my sister's here, I hope she remembers me. But I really just hope that how I leave it is appropriate for the next generation, like my sister here, and just establishing connections that can look after her while I'm gone.
Very nice. Naomi?
So I think similar to what they both said, just it doesn't have to be like personally like, oh, Naomi, blah, blah, blah. Just like that the people who I was able to be with, like they have that memory where I hope I made their lives better, and just kind of like that personal connection versus like being famous for something. I think that's more important, at least for me, yeah.
Samantha?
I would also have to agree. I feel like it's not me that I want to be remembered, like that I want people to remember, but it's more just the way that I made people feel, if I helped them feel welcomed or anything like that. I also just want like my closest friends to have felt like I had a positive impact on their life. As long as I had a net positive on this place, I think I'm all right.
And Sarah?
I know I left my mark at the social work department because I was there pretty much every day, studying, eating, relaxing, asking random questions to professors and friends.
Yes, she did.
And so, I don't know, just to be like, oh yeah, I remember Sarah here being really loud and talking to everyone and helping everyone.
You have all reinvigorated me as a person, as a professor, and I hope that you know that that's the impact you'll leave on me, and I think that you'll leave on everyone else. It's just what wonderful people you are. Each one of you individually has contributed to this school, has contributed to someone in some way. You've all shared that. And really that as a community, we seek that connection, that we seek that partnership, and that we continue to grow and evolve as a school, and to really listen to our students and hear what they have to say, because this is all for you, right? This isn't for us, the parents, us professors, administration. It's really all about you. And the only way we're going to figure that out is if we get to know you and we know what you need. So thank you very much. I wish you all the successes in the world. I wish that God be upon you, that you find what you're looking for, that you become and continue to evolve into the beautiful people that you are. And thank you for all that you've done on our campus. And that will conclude our Sabbath School this morning. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Dear God, thank you for this beautiful Sabbath morning as we gather to celebrate the class of 2022. We ask that you continue to guide them for your chosen path, and please help us as we celebrate and commensurate their accomplishments throughout this school year. In your holy name, amen. Please meet back here for our baccalaureate service at 11:15. Thank you.